Today we're heading to the Cotswolds to visit the converted Barnhouse of artist and well-being editor Susannah Taylor. With a lifelong love for color and paint, her home is feminine and cheery, featuring her signature murals and artworks throughout.
The theme is, I've called it a walk through a midsummer's garden, and it was inspired by our own garden that I've planted out there.
Leaning into her English countryside surroundings, Susanna embraced the charm of the old barn's original features without letting it feel too rustic.
When we first came here, this was all red brick. So I actually painted it all. And we've also whitewashed the beams in here as well. My husband was really reticent to whitewash the beams to begin with because he thought that we ruined them, but I don't think we have. Hopefully everyone agrees.
Instead, she transformed those finishes with playful details, soft textures, and her signature sense of whimsy, creating a home that feels fresh, elegant, and quintessentially British country. To watch Susanna's full home tour ad-free, where she shares her must-dos when visiting the Cotswolds and reveals her expert health tips, as well as tours us through her downstairs powder bath, scan the QR code or click the join button below.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Susannah Taylor. Welcome to my home in the Cotswolds. Come on in, let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we take you inside the world's most beautifully decorated homes and introduce you to the brilliant people who live there.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Liz Lang. Welcome to Grey Gardens.
Click the join button below to access all of our latest episodes ad-free and watch extended cuts of this and other homes, opening the doors to new rooms and exclusive content featuring our beloved hosts.
I can't wait to see, I'm so excited.
And if you're looking to shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy tastemakers, be sure to use the product links below or scan the QR code on screen to find fabulous furniture, coffee table books, and accessories that can transform your house into a home.
Hi, I'm Susannah Taylor. I'm a wellbeing editor and artist, and I'm here at my house in the Cotswolds. So years ago, we used to live in London, and we moved, well, it must be like 13 years ago now, and we moved out, and we moved to a different house, and we slightly outgrew it as our kids grew older. And we were looking for something a bit bigger, but we weren't looking properly. And then during lockdown, of all times, we found this house. We hadn't actually been to this part of the Cotswolds before. It was about half an hour away from our old house, and we came to look at it in lockdown, and we fell in love with it. There's a lot to do. When we arrived in the house, it was all sort of orange varnished wood, brown and cream. And that was it. So there was a lot to do. So we saw it as a bit of a project. It's a barn conversion. There's a farm next door, and we are a barn conversion next to it. We didn't do the barn conversion, it was already done to actually a very high standard before we moved in. But the design aesthetics of it were not really to our liking. It was very bland and actually felt a little bit soulless design-wise, but we knew that there was a lot of scope to do a lot with it. What we really loved about it was but it's built around a courtyard, and the middle of the courtyard at the time was wall-to-wall gravel, and the previous owners used it as a car park. Basically, they parked their cars there. And I remember saying to my husband, we can buy it if we can turn this into a courtyard garden. So that's what we did. But the decor was very like the floorboards were all kind of varnished, this very thick orange varnish, and all the doors were varnished in this very thick orange varnish. So bit by bit, we've brought lots more colour back into the house. We took the varnish off. The first thing we did was sanded the floors, actually, to get rid of that varnish. And we've painted a lot of the house in lots of different really beautiful colours. I'm an artist, so colour is really important to me. And yeah, I paint a lot of things all the time. I love painting furniture. I love changing the colours of rooms, changing the colours of doors. Yeah, this house has a lot of that. So the house is quite tucked away. From the outside, you actually probably don't know that it's here, because we're tucked away in the corner of a village green in a beautiful village. It's a beautiful village green with amazing trees, and in the corner we are hidden away, and all you can see is a gate. And you have to drive down the drive and around and under an archway to get into the courtyard where the main house is. We've also got like a garden, a top garden, a field off that driveway when you first come in, and it's got a little orchard with apple trees, pear trees, plums, green gages, but to get to the house, you do a left and you come into the courtyard. And the house is probably a little bit alternative, because on the right-hand side, we have the kitchen and the sitting room that we're in now, and a downstairs loo. And then if you turn left, then you'll go into the dining room, and then the other side of the courtyard is the kids' bedroom. So we've got 3 children. We've got 2 teenagers and a 7-year-old, and so they're down the other side of the courtyard. Our bedroom, the master bedroom, is upstairs, and spare bedroom on the right-hand side of the courtyard. So our kids' bedrooms are all along sort of one corridor down the far side of the courtyard. So this is our hallway. This is the main entrance with some big windows here, which are surrounded by big sort of oak frames. So we've left this oak, but all the beams up here we have lime washed, because they were very orange and I didn't like the orange. So we actually got a decorator to lime wash the whole lot, to knock back that orange. We did think about painting them, but we wanted the kind of rustic and the knots and everything to come through and the grain of the wood to come through. This staircase was very orange as well. It was a lovely shade of orange. And we have painted it. I use a lot of Edward Bulmer paints that I think I've mentioned before. And this is an Edward Bulmer paint. I believe it's milk white. I think that's a Farrow & Ball paint, and I think it's railings. The walls, I think, like I said before, I quite like having quite neutral walls that then we can add splashes of colour to. This is also an Edward Bulmer shade. This is one of my paintings. I've recently had an exhibition in London at the Edward Bulmer shop. They hosted an exhibition for me. And I've used their paints in all the backgrounds, so you can see their paint colours. The paint colour in the back of that one is French blue. And the whole exhibition was inspired by the meaning of flowers, basically. And it was Valentine's Day, and I remember looking at all the roses outside the florist, thinking, why do not all the other flowers have a look in? So I set about looking into the symbolism of lots of different other flowers. And so this one, these are stocks, and they stand for grace and resilience. So that's what that means. So here, there's a British brand based in Norfolk called Birdie Fortescue. And this is one of her lampshades. This is a Pookie lamp. This is also one of my paintings. And I love the frames. There's a local framer in Chipping Norton who did all the frames. And I love the fact that they have like a little gilt edge on the inside, and they were all mounted on linen to give it a slightly rustic, slightly raw sort of vibe. I have lots of books, sort of inspiring coffee table books and things that you'll see. And so I sort of collect them. They're sort of dotted throughout the house. This piece, I just loved the colours of it. I love all of the colours on it. And we found it it's a shop called Touch of Dust in Shipston, which is about 10 minutes from us. And yeah, I managed to barter him down. I think he also has a shop in London, actually. Yeah, I just love the colours and the really rustic vibe and how they've achieved this very sort of raw finish. I love terracotta. I love terracotta in colour, and I love terracotta pots. This is actually a fake geranium. I think it's a really good one. Hats. We love hats. This runner and the carpet upstairs is from a company called the Unnatural Flooring Company. We really love the look of sisal and that really sort of natural, rustic feel. But we have so many friends who have bought carpets, and if you spill water on them, you'll know if you have sisal, they get absolutely wrecked. So we came across this company that a carpet company recommended to us. And basically, you can even pour bleach on it, apparently, and scrub it off, and it won't stain. So it's really hard wearing. It's a bit hard underfoot, but I think it looks and they've edged it in this lovely sage green. Here, I found this pot. There is an incredible, it's one of my best finds, actually, that I should have added into my day out in the Cotswolds, it's called Station Mill in Chipping Norton, and it is this huge space filled with amazing, I say antiques dealers, but they're not like fusty antiques. They're like really cool antiques. I've seen David Beckham in there before. Apparently he's a regular. And I have found lots of things in there. And I found this in there. This was a table that used to be my grandmother's, and it was brown. I'm not that keen on brown, so I've painted it. And that is an Edward Bulmer shade again. And the colour is Vert de Mer, which is a beautiful greeny blue, as you would expect from the name. This is from Pookie, brilliant British brand. I'm sure it's been mentioned before. Have become a bit of a staple. Not too expensive, but always look amazing. And I think the lampshade is from Pookie as well. So this chair, we went for dinner at a friend's house, and her husband said to me, I'm getting rid of this chair, who wants it? It was my grandfather's. And I was like, I'll have it. So I paid, I don't know, £150 for it, and had it upholstered in this beautiful Christopher Farr fabric. And I love it. And then he came round and he saw it and he said, God, I wish I hadn't got rid of that chair. The only thing I really don't like about this house, we have lots of these radiators, and the house is incredibly warm, and which is amazing, and the house has actually been constructed in an amazing to an amazing standard. But I want to paint them all, but it's a big mission, so I haven't done it yet. One thing I forgot to mention is this little picture, which I love. It's of Glastonbury, and I gave it to my husband. I think it was on his 45th birthday. It's an artist called Valerie Piello, and it's of Glastonbury, and we've been to Glastonbury quite a few times in our lives and have had the best time of our lives there. So it reminds us of that. When you look close up, it's just lots of dots and splodges, but when you look far away, you can kind of see that it is the teepees and the flags of Glastonbury. If you come with me in here for a second, this is a mural that I have painted. So that's something that I'm doing more and more of, is painting murals. The theme is, I've called it a walk through a midsummer's garden, and it was inspired by our own garden that I've planted out there. And I've used Edward Bulmer paints again. The background is a colour called Cuisse de Nymphe, emu. And it's a beautiful soft pink. I love pink, but I only like particular pinks. And I love soft pink. As you'll see, I've used pink throughout the house. And what I've done here is I slightly limited my colour palette. So I just used whites and greens and a little bit of red and dark grey. And I've used the Edward Bulmer paints to do this as well. So this is something that's called olive green. I know their colour palette quite well now. Olive green. This darker colour is called Dove. This darker pink is called Nicaragua. And yeah, you'll see, it took me quite a long time to do it, but I love it. Lots of friends of mine say I should turn it into a wallpaper. But you can come in and have a look around if you like. I've always loved these lampshades. They're from Alice Palmer, a British designer. I think she's based in London, and she does amazing stripes. I love stripes. These tiles, I love their sort of soft teal colour, which I think goes really well with the dusty pink. They're from Fired Earth. But we built all this around this, which was also from Station Mill in Chipping Norton. And we got our carpenter to cut a hole in it and put the sink that was already here in this place. I mean, what was here before was this really hideous glass sort of thing with orange wood. So yeah, we changed all of that. So my personal style, I would say, is probably elegant, quite simple, but with splashes of colour. I love using colour to sort of accent certain things. I also love beautiful fabrics, and you'll see throughout the house I have a bit of a thing about chairs. I've upholstered lots of different chairs throughout the house in lots of different fabrics. So I love having quite simple sort of plain or pale coloured walls, and then using fabric in quite a beautiful way, like accents of colour, to uplift certain areas of the house. I would say my style is quite feminine. I like bright colour, but I also like colours that are slightly muted. I've used a lot of a brand called Edward Bulmer Paint, which is a British paint brand. And I've actually just had an exhibition in their showroom in London. And they have natural paint. And by that, I mean they use natural pigments. So the colours are very slightly muted. So I love colours that are very slightly off, that are not, say, a bright red or, like an electric orange, but are slightly muted. I love terracottas, muted pinks, ochre, yellow, teal, those kind of colours. That all somehow can also be used together. And those are the sort of colours as well that I use in my artwork. So you'll see that those colours run throughout the house. Because this house is a barn conversion, it lends itself naturally to a more sort of country aesthetic. But I didn't want it to be too rustic. So I love vintage, I love finding vintage finds. I often scour junk shops, antique shops for pieces, and then we either upholster them or paint them or do them up. And I've done that literally since my early 20s. So I'd say the house has a sort of countryside aesthetic without being too rustic. And then I also love elements of modern furniture as well. So it's a bit of a mix. So this is the sitting room, and this is where we come and hang out and light the fire and just relax, basically. So when we first arrived here, there was really dodgy looking carpet and red sort of velvet curtains that were on a runner that came sort of round into the windows. So we ripped it all out and we put this herringbone floor down. We wanted to be quite subtle and quite light, slightly grey, but not too grey. So yeah, and I've got a bit of a thing about green. I love green. So we got a carpenter, this amazing guy called Dean Shepherd, who has done a lot of carpentry work for us. He has done the bookshelves and the cupboards here, and you'll see the big bookshelf here. And then we've painted it in, I think it's called Culk Green from Farrow and Ball. The light fittings again are from Pookie, and the lampshades, which are like a sort of a Hessian, which I really like, is the sort of like rawness of them. They're from Birdie Fortescue. And the sofas are just a nude shade. Now this, instead of having a coffee table, I really like the idea of having an ottoman. And this fabric is from Fermoy. I love Fermoy's fabrics because I was talking about the sort of the muted shades, and they're so good at that, like a slightly dusty sort of petrol blue or an ochre yellow or a soft sort of red. They do amazing colours, and I just love this. Oh, and this is barley. I like barley. This is another find from Station Mill in Chipping Norton, the place where I saw David Beckham. I found lots of things there. I'm just thinking what else I found from there. Over here, there is a chest that's got the drink on top of it, and that is also from Station Mill in Chipping Norton. So yeah, we really like the I'm not sure how they've achieved this, but I think, you know, you add a paint and then wipe it off or sand it down, and I like that slightly raw, rough finish. This is a chair that used to be my husband's parents'. It was in a very old, knackered-looking fabric, and so we had it reupholstered. And the back of it is actually really interesting because it's got this sort of triangular shape, and the fabric goes all the way around the back, so you can see. And I just like it because it's very different, and it actually looks like it would be really uncomfortable, but it's actually really comfortable. It's sort of the perfect height for relaxing and putting your elbows on. And again, this is a Fermoy fabric. Oh, hi, Barney. Get down. Okay. So this rug, and the good thing about the Fermoy fabrics is they all seem to go together. So this is Fermoy, the ottoman is Fermoy, and then this fabric from here is Fermoy too. I actually got this fabric. They have a showroom, maybe it's where they make all the fabrics, it's sort of like 2 hours away, but they have a big sale. I'm trying to think where it is. It's heading towards Somerset, I think. I think it's near Marlborough, actually. And they have a lot of fabrics that have just a slight nick in them, and they sell them off cheap. So that's actually where I got this fabric. That's a really good little find. This is one of my paintings that I did. I think I did this one in lockdown, actually. One of my first attempts at oil painting, actually, which I want to do a lot more of. And yeah, lots of dahlias. So I am hugely inspired by nature. It's one of the only things that I really want to paint. So I'll show you some more of my paintings as we go round, but I just think there's so much beauty in nature that we pass by so easily and so readily. And I love, that's one of the reasons I love painting nature, is actually it makes you really stop and be mindful and notice the sort of small things in life. Okay. It's a small thing, but I love these tassels. I love the colours of them. I can't remember the name of the person who made them, but apparently she specialises in tassels and they're beautiful. I've got a few of them. This is another find from Station Mill. Every time I go to Station Mill, I have to buy something. Lots of inspiring coffee table books. I've got lots of art books, photography books, fashion books. I've always loved these pots from Bridie Hall, and my husband gave me one for my birthday. I think this was my parents'. So we love kind of old things and new things. I really would quite like to get rid of this big black fire, the flue, and replace it with something a bit more attractive. But it's quite a mission, so I'm having to wait for that at the moment. But when we first came here, this was all red brick. So I actually painted it all. And we've also whitewashed the beams in here as well. My husband was really reticent to whitewash the beams to begin with because he thought that we ruined them, but I don't think we have. Hopefully everyone agrees. All the cushions this is a sewn fabric, as is this. These ones are from Ochre, and they're all beautiful linen. And you can I really love the feel of linen because you can feel it's there's a coolness to it, as in like a coldness. Yeah, so this is one of my paintings from a recent exhibition. That is a poppy that suddenly arrived in our garden. I didn't plant it, but it's this wild, shaggy poppy, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it came out this summer, and I think it arrived just so that I could paint it. And yeah, and I've had to share it. I've had to share the seeds with lots of friends of mine because they kept asking me where it's from. This is a well-known Slim Aarons print, which I love. I love Slim Aarons' work. I just think it's fun and bright, and you know, it's a bit of a you know, it takes you away on a dream that we can never achieve. That is another painting I did with a friend of mine, an artist called Gemma Powell. I sometimes go painting with her, and we set up a still life. I did that very quickly, actually. It's a bit looser than what I would normally do, because I did it in, like, I think an hour and a half, 2 hours. I work quite quickly painting. This is a pastel drawing I did on holiday in Paxos. I did it on a sun lounger, just with some oil pastels. And this one I found in an auction. It was a funny story because I didn't look at the dimensions and I paid for it. And then when I went to pick it up, I was quite surprised how small it was. I thought it was going to be about 3 times the size. But anyway, I love it anyway. And I can't remember the name of this artist, but I love her work. It's very loose and sort of soft colours. This is a Pookie lampshade. This desk we've had for many, many years. We found it when we were living in Battersea, on Lavender Hill in Battersea in London. And we found it literally, it was virtually on the side of a road, I think outside a junk shop. And we painted it this lovely teal shade. I think we first painted it like a pale shade, and then recently we painted it this dark teal, and we changed all the knobs, which I think are from Anthropology, which are like hairs, 2 hair heads, and they're both hairs. They're hair heads and 2 little hairs running along. This was a pencil sketch that I did years and years ago. When we first got married, we went on honeymoon to an incredible place called Singita Lobombo in South Africa, in the Kruger National Park. And one day we in front of us, in the truck we were in, a whole herd of elephants came down a hill and crossed a little river in front of us. And the mummies and their little baby elephants were all like playing around. And anyway, I did a picture of it for my husband's birthday once. And this is our piano. I don't play, I did sort of up to sort of grade 5 when I was at school. So I don't play loads, but I wish I played more. I am pretty musical in a sense that I sing all the time, and I love music. In fact, I wrote the lyrics to a friend of mine who's called Jack Savaretti, who's a singer here in the UK, and he's had many albums out. And I wrote the lyrics to one of his songs called Dancing Through the Rain, and it came out as a single. And so that's my claim to music fame. So look that one up, Dancing Through the Rain by Jack Savaretti. I think I'm better at the lyrics side than I am playing the music side. And these are our bookshelves. I try to edit it down and my husband says we should get rid of some books, but I find it very hard. And neither do I want to get rid of them, to be honest. Once upon a time, I did arrange it in colours, and then I found that too ordered, so I've mixed it all up again. So now I'm going to take you through to the kitchen area. We're waiting to do the whole kitchen up because we want to knock some windows through, but I'll show you what we have so far. Colour is very, very important to me, actually. If I was to paint a room, say, a shade of red that I really didn't like, I'd have to change it. I find, as an artist, I'm quite sensitive and always have been to sort of my surroundings. I also couldn't live in a dark house, so this house is very, very light. I actually find it hard to be in very dark rooms. I don't feel comfortable in them. I love the light. And the more, because I'm a wellbeing editor, I actually know now that actually the light is so important to our well-being that I can understand why I'm slightly repelled from dark rooms. So the lightness of this house is actually really important to me. And colours, I surround myself with colours that make me feel good. So this is our kitchen. We're kind of making the best of it at the moment because what we actually want to do at some point is we want to get rid of this bit. We have to keep these because it's holding up the ceiling. And we want to bring a big island out here. But at the same time, we want to knock a window through this wall. So we're just living with the old kitchen for now, but that's something we want to do in the future. But this is a kind of an area where we come and sit and have a drink while we're cooking, and just a bit of a social area, which we love. This is an old dresser that I bought on eBay years ago when we very first moved out to Oxfordshire. And I've recently repainted it. The colour is called Jonquil, and again, it is by Edward Bulmer, the natural paint company. The amazing thing about Edward Bulmer is, like I was saying, is they're soft shades. Because they use natural pigments, they will never do a bright, bright red. Everything's slightly soft because of the natural pigments that they use. These are jars, not just for display. I actually do keep my pasta in here, flour here, seeds. As a wellbeing editor, we try and make all our own food within reason, but we really do try and eat healthily and feed the kids healthily. There's lots more cookbooks in the sitting room. This I found in a junk shop. I love that, this pestle and mortar. It's very heavy, actually. This is something my husband found, and we just keep all that stuff in it, you know, paperwork and things like that you just don't know what to do with. I love these cabbage plates. I've always loved them in different colours. I can't remember the name. What are they called? Bordello, yeah, I love those. These are baskets that we've just collected over the years. As a wellbeing editor and beauty editor, sometimes we get sent gifts, and often we used to get sent hampers and things, and so we've just collected things over the years. That's from Fortnum & Mason's. These are two of my paintings. They are all actually from my recent exhibition. They haven't sold yet, but I thought they go really well in here. And these are also my paintings, these big ones. When we lived at our old house, I decided, we had an apple and a pear tree. We didn't have many trees. We had 2 trees in our garden, and it was an apple and a pear tree, so I decided to paint an apple and a pear. I should probably get them framed somehow, but I quite like them as they are. This sofa, I actually bought it off a fashion stylist, and she advertised it on her Instagram and said, I'm selling it for something like £700. Who wants it? And I thought it would have gone, but actually I got it. I had these cushions made by a local upholsterer. And this tree, I love this tree. It just adds a bit of greenery. Apparently it's called a money tree. So I'm hoping it's going to bring us lots of prosperity. And that is from a company called Plant Drop. And I often think that online plant companies, you never know quite what you're going to get. But actually, Plant Drop, when you get their trees, they seem to be really, really good quality. These paintings are also mine. Whenever I go abroad, I paint different things. I paint the foliage and the fauna and the flowers of particular places. And one day I hope I'm going to fill a big wall covered with lots of different paintings from lots of different countries. And these were the wildflowers and the fruits of Puglia in Italy. We've been on holiday there quite a few times, and we absolutely love it. And that is Barley, really happy in his bed. This is a very smart dog bed by a company called Maker & Sons, which I'm not sure if it's still going, but it's a beautiful bed in a beautiful thick, sort of tough fabric, and you obviously can take it off and wash it. These are flowers from my garden, and I love nothing more than planting flowers that you can then cut so that you don't have to actually buy flowers throughout the year. We've basically whitewashed this floor because since we moved in, it was this very dirty looking pine floor, sort of partly varnished, sort of wearing off. And so we just decided one day just to whitewash the whole thing. And I think this is a Farrow & Ball colour in slipper satin. And it's a new paint they have called Dead Flat that you're meant to be able to use on floors, concrete, all sorts of things. This is the dining room, which comes off the kitchen. And as you can see, it's got the original beams from the barns that this used to be. And when we first arrived here, they used this as it's like a TV room. They had a TV at the end and a sofa, kind of like an L-shaped sofa midway across the room. And it was all brown and cream, the whole thing. So bit by bit, we changed it. First thing we did was we sanded the floors. And then we've painted it. This is setting plaster by Farrow & Ball. Everyone always asks me what colour this is. As you can see, I do love pink, and I have managed to convince my husband to like it as well. And this stripy tablecloth I love. I love sort of terracotta-y shades. And this, I think it was actually from H&M, that tablecloth. It was very cheap. These chairs we bought on eBay. They're like sort of cafe bistro chairs. And I've painted them in a teal shade. I believe this was from Zoffany. And then we had these cushions made, which are very knackered now, but we had these cushions made from, and the fabric was from Sewn. This was a present from me to my husband. There's Slim Errands again. And I gave it to him for his 50th birthday. He loves skiing. We love being in the mountains. And I love the really retro vibe. If you look closely, you can see everyone's sort of retro 70s outfits. These blinds, when we first came, they had blinds inside the set in. So it felt very sort of closed off. We wanted to make the windows feel taller. So when they were inside, it made the room feel shorter. So sort of having them up here sort of takes the eye up. This fabric is from an amazing fabric business. I believe it's in the Cotswolds as well, called Rapture and Write. I absolutely love all their prints, and they're in incredible colours. This is another find from Station Mill in Chipping Norton. You see, I've bought a lot of things from there. I love the darkness of it. That's also from Station Mill. I bought that for my husband one year. I think it's really old. It did have it was like a glass shaft that went down into the middle that you're meant to put ice in, and it's meant to cool the water. Anyway, the lady told me that I can put it in the freezer, which I did, and it immediately cracked and broke. So I should have just I should have listened to myself. So that lampshade is from Pookie, Faithful Pookie. These sconces, I think I found these on, I think I found them on eBay. I think I Googled wall sconces. They're actually just decorative because I sort of think if I was to light these candles, they'd probably get a big black stream up the walls, so they're just a decorative thing. The reason I have apples here is I'm about to start painting a mural in our utility room, and I have an idea about painting sort of beautiful apple branches across the tiles. So that's why I've got these here. These botanical prints over here are also from Station Mill, but I had them remounted and reframed. And actually we didn't reframe them, I remounted them, and then I painted the frames. This is a painting of mine that I also did in lockdown, because I was testing out using oil paints. So I use lots of different mediums in my artwork. I use oils sometimes, or I use gouache or watercolour, and that was one of my first attempts at oil paint. Somebody had found a place where you could buy peonies in lockdown, and we bought these amazing peonies which were just so beautiful. I think not being able to leave the house made them even more beautiful, and so I decided to paint them. And this picture, I love this picture. This is of Portofino in Italy, and my husband and I went there years ago before we had kids. And there's a big church at the top in Portofino, and there's a bit of a hike to get up there. And we went up there, and there was an art exhibition on, I think, in the church. And it's this local artist, and he does all these etchings, but then hand finishes all the etchings with watercolour. And in the rocks here, you can see little faces and things. So there's a lot more to it than actually meets the eye. But I love it because whatever room you put it in, it totally blends in. And this doorway, so when we first got here, we thought, let's do something different. Let's paint the window frames in a dark teal colour. And then we did it on a few of the windows, and it just made the room feel sort of crowded and less light and a bit dark. But we'd done this, and so we kept this doorway, which I love. So as a child, I was incredibly artistic, And I was the girl at school who never stopped painting, never stopped drawing. I drew on my friends' clothes, I drew on my clothes, I drew all over my homework. And if you'd ask any of my friends who I was at school with what I would have done for my career, they would have said I probably would have been an artist for the whole time. But I ended up going into magazines, first of all, because I was absolutely crazy about fashion. I wanted to be a fashion editor, but I actually ended up being a beauty and wellbeing editor. And I started out on quite an unknown avant-garde magazine called Scene magazine, which is no more. And then I went to work on the launch team of Glamour magazine at Condé Nast. And that was incredible. I had the most incredible time. It was really fun. It was my 20s. I was flying back and forward to New York, styling shoots, and that was amazing. And from there, I went to be the beauty and health editor at Vogue magazine, where I stayed until I was about 31, and when I got pregnant with my daughter. And then I actually made the bold decision to leave Vogue. No one could believe it at the time. Everyone was like, what, are you going to leave Vogue? But whilst it had been my dream to be at Vogue, I also found it slightly stifling. I wanted to be able to express myself in a way that I couldn't, and I wanted to do things like do my artwork, and I just couldn't carry on doing that sort of thing if I was at Vogue. And so I made the decision to leave. It was a really big decision at the time, and I went freelance. And then, so my art has like woven itself in and out throughout my life. Because at the time, I then started up an art company selling kids' prints that I'd designed, and it was called Bella Oscar, and it was named after my oldest children. Anyway, I did that for a couple of years, but I was doing a freelance beauty stuff on the side. And then I got asked to work on the launch of a website called Get the Gloss. I had started a blog called Get the Gloss, and as well as doing my art stuff. And I then spoke to an investor, and we turned it into a much bigger thing. And I was working with a journalist called Sarah Vine, who's quite a big journalist in the UK. And we grew it into a much bigger website. So it was like a baptism of fire, starting this website. I'd had no experience before working for a web business. And I did that for probably 5-6 years, and then I left. And I decided that basically I was commuting from here into London virtually 3-4 days a week, and it just got too much, to be honest with you. And so I decided to cut back, and then eventually I left. And I went freelance, and I've done a lot of things from in the last sort of like 8 years, from writing about wellness for Grazia magazine to the Times to the Telegraph, like lots of like amazing publications. But more recently, I've been really drawn back to doing all my artwork, and my artwork has been running alongside my journalism for years and years. And I can show you, but I've done lots of packaging. I've done packaging for a brand called Bramley. I've always done things on the side. But more recently, I've felt that I need to use it more. I think my return to my art is also, I'm wanting to get offline a bit more. I want to be able to use my hands, and I want to be able to have a real go at doing my art before it gets too late. Again, this is another room with all the original beams from the original barns. And when we first came to this house, it was a bit of a nothing room. It had sort of a random bookshelves and lots of sort of different plants, and I don't think they used it for very much. But I now use it as my studio. I've managed to convince everyone that I need to have my own studio here. But my little daughter, who is 7, she needs a place for all her stuff. So I sort of share it with my daughter, who has it as her playroom as well, which can get a bit hectic because she creates such a mess. So I'm always tidying up her stuff. But this is my desk. I bought it on eBay, always looking for old things that I can update. And I think it used to be like in the army or something, because when I first got it and I opened the drawer, there were lots of stamps that had something to do with the army. So maybe it has some kind of history. I painted it underneath in this shade, which is Brick by Edward Bulmer in their eggshell. And I've got a bit of a thing about terracotta. Absolutely love it. Again, this plant was from Plant Drop. And I love the feel that it brings the outside in. Don't ask me where this chair's from, I can't remember. I've got lots of pens and paints and lots of some designs that I've been working on actually recently here. I've just painted a mural on the wall of a company called Ancient and Brave. Ancient and Brave are this amazing wellness brand in the UK, and they're absolutely flying, and they create supplements basically, and using sort of old traditions and rituals as their sort of the heart of the business. And they've just moved offices because they're expanding, and they wanted me to paint a mural. So I came up with 3 designs, and these were the designs. They wanted a moth, and in the end, they've gone for this one. If you have a look on my Instagram, which is Susannah Taylor _, you can see the finished thing. But they loved it. It's absolutely enormous. And when I went to paint it, I didn't have a ladder big enough. I didn't realise how tall it was going to be. But they love it, and the moth has ended up being sort of this size. For the same company as well, I do lots of illustration work, and they also asked me to come up with some designs for some Christmas crackers that they wanted to do. So these are 3 designs that I have come up with my illustrations on them. They wanted them to look wintry without being Christmassy, as it were. So there's lots of things that relate to all things celestial, like stars and the sun and the moon. But then there's lots of nature, so there's mushrooms and rose hips and leaves and all sorts of things from the natural world. So that's a recent project. This is a fake geranium, so it's in bloom all year round, but I think it's quite a good one. It's from a shop in Stowe on the Wold near here. Now this is something I did earlier this year. So I've recently decided to really go for it with my art. And I remember saying to my husband what I wanted to do was really create things for people's homes that were really beautiful, that really brought some kind of meaning to people's homes, and made their homes more beautiful. And this is one of the first things I did earlier this year. I bought this, I think I bought it on eBay. I literally bought it for about £40, this chest. And I went to St Lucia last year on a wellness retreat that I was running with a friend of mine. And I took lots of pictures of hibiscus and hummingbirds and butterflies and all the beautiful flowers and the leaves and things out there. And I've recreated it here. And the bugs And this again is using the Edward Bulmer paints. So you can see how, when I talk about them being slightly soft, there is a softness to it, and they're actually really, really lovely to paint with. So this is their brick, which I've used on my desk, and this is Vert de Mer, and yeah, this is Cuisse de Nymphe, which is one of their beautiful pink shades. And somehow the colours just sort of blend seamlessly into every room. These knobs I have also changed using Matilda Gode's hardware. She does the most beautiful hardware that literally can just transform things. So I want to paint more murals and more furniture because people have been asking me for it. There's a brand called Bramley in the UK, and for years, I have been illustrating some of their products. So this is called the Bramley Village, and it's a range of houses that are like gift sets. So this is a dog grooming parlour. So you can see there's like a poodle who's having his hair blow dried. There are two dogs having their hair set. He's reading Dogue. And this doggy is reading The Woof. And these doggies are being pampered. And inside, so you can buy these on their website. And they're also available at Fortnum & Mason's in London. And I've actually seen them in our pet shop in Chipping Norton. So they're now available more readily. But the brand is called Digby, but it's owned by Bramley. And I've illustrated all the packaging as well. So these are dog products. This is a conditioner, dog conditioner. This is a dog soothe spray, I think calming your dog. This is dog refresh spray for stinky dogs. Dog wash, and then this is a Wonder Balm for cracked paws and that sort of thing. But there's different ones. So there's this one, then there's like a Cotswold cottage. This is a Cotswold Christmas cottage. And then there is another, it's called the Bramley cottage. And inside, you open them up, and the products are inside. So they make beautiful gifts. So I've illustrated the whole thing. And then this one is for gardeners. It's a greenhouse. And then this one is a dovecote. It's called the Bramley dovecote. I think this is available on their website, but it was also commissioned for Fortnum & Mason's in London. And these are just some of my drawings. I often draw my daughter, Willow, she loves our dog, Barley. So this is the Ancient and Brave packaging, my original drawings, just different sketches. And these are also my paintings I did a couple of years ago. As I said, I'm hugely inspired by nature, and I really want to try and use my art to, I don't know, to do some great things, because I really think that we, well, as I've said here, we need to leave this earth better than we found it. And what else? So this is a painting from my recent exhibition. The different flowers in here mean healing, protection, and bliss. This is very heavy. Every time we've moved, it's come with us. It started in London when we lived in London, and we found it in Wales. And the shop was called Yurtis, spelt Y-E-R-T-I-S, which is a pun on here it is in British. So every time we refer to this cupboard, we call it Yurtis. So we say, where's the coat? Oh, it's in Yurtis. So this cupboard is called Yurtis. But we painted it. I think we painted it in lime white by Farrow and Ball. And then I painted these stars more recently. It's incredibly heavy, but it was once upon a time, it was brown, dark brown. And I keep all my art stuff in these baskets. Another of my paintings, this is a geranium. I don't know if you know, but geraniums stand for friendship and happiness. And all my paints, lots of books about flowers, notepads. I have so many notepads. I love writing things down, writing notes, and I really think that we don't use our hands enough and we're using our phones too much, and actually we should be writing more and writing more notes and things and journaling. This another chair that I've bought that I've upholstered in Fermoy fabric. I think I actually got that from their seconds place in Marlborough as well. These rugs are just really inexpensive from Dunelm. We'd love to change this floor. It's not quite how we would have it, but it's quite an upheaval. So we've put these rugs down for now. So I've recently put up on my website all my art, and I've set up a gallery for all the works that are available. So you can head to susannahtaylor.com for that. And I also host art workshops, which I've loved doing this year. And they're proving to be so popular because I think people are just so desperate to get off their screens and offline. And you can also see upcoming workshops on my website, susannahtaylor.com. Okay, so before we head upstairs, I'm going to take you out to our garden, which I have single-handedly planted the whole thing. So, and this is our garden. We actually have another sort of top garden where we come in, but this is the courtyard. And when we first moved in, I think I already said, but it was wall-to-wall gravel, and they used to drive in and park their cars literally where I'm standing here. And when we bought the house, I said to my husband, we can't live with it like that. We can't look out onto the cars. We need to turn it into a courtyard garden. And so that's what we've done. I basically sketched the entire garden of how we wanted it to be. And what we wanted to have is an entertaining space over here where we could have dinner. My husband wanted to have a pizza oven, and at the time I thought it was an expense we really didn't need to have. And actually, it has been amazing because we've got 2 teenagers and they have friends over and we cook pizzas, and it's a real kind of talking point, and they love it. So yeah, we wanted to have this entertaining area. Like I said as well, we wanted the kids, their rooms are over here, so we wanted in the summer them to be able to just walk out with bare feet in the mornings, their pajamas on, and just be able to hang out and have breakfast outside, weather permitting in the UK, and then also head over to the area over there, which we've got sort of a seating area, like a sofa and outdoor furniture. So when we first started, we weren't sure whether to have it quite haphazard, but then we thought it lends itself to having this big round circle of grass in the middle over here. And so we've ended up with quite a symmetrical design. And originally I was working with a gardener came to talk to me about it, and she said, I think you should have it quite haphazard so that the grass is over here. And I just thought, no, because we knew exactly how we wanted it to be and how it was going to work for our family. So she ended up saying, okay, I'm out, because everything she suggested, I just said, I'm not sure about. And so I thought the money I was going to spend on the gardener, I spent on plants. And basically I've planted the entire thing, literally everything, from the olive trees to the jasmine to the Annabelle hydrangeas to all the roses I've planted. Apart from the grass, I planted everything myself. So So I absolutely love it. And currently, it's dying back because in the UK it's becoming, it's autumn now, really. But in the summer, it's full of life and full of flowers, and I absolutely love having, the birds have all come, and the bees and the butterflies, and it honestly, it has become my greatest joy, and also my greatest source of inspiration for my art. Some of our olive trees have thrived. These ones have thrived. Some of them, we did plant one olive tree in the middle and it died. But actually, when we had it removed, the tree surgeon said it was actually already dead. It had clay packed into the root, so that's why it died. So praying this one doesn't die. But we wanted it to have quite a wild feel and also a slightly Mediterranean feel, hence why we love all the olive trees. We planted, that's a fig tree over there, which is incredible. This is a honeysuckle here. I just can't believe how beautiful a honeysuckle smells in full bloom. This is called Gora whirling butterflies, and because they look like butterflies almost flying in the wind, and I love it for its wild, its sort of wild feel. And it was really, really small. It started like this, and now it's like that, which is just incredible. This is this amazing wild poppy that I showed you earlier, which is in the sitting room, which actually has rebloomed, and it was up here this summer. I cut it back and it's come back to life. So I've sprinkled the seeds everywhere, so I'm hoping that it's going to go everywhere. But I actually didn't buy that poppy. I don't know where it's come from. It's landed in our garden. I think it's just asking me to paint it. I have also planted lots of David Austin roses. So I'm sure people know, but in the UK there is this amazing rose business in Shropshire called David Austin. And the roses, I mean, before I planted all these things, I didn't know much about gardening, but compared to the other roses I've planted from different companies, they're absolutely incredible. And they stay quite disease-free, and yeah, they're really beautiful. I'll show you which ones I've planted of theirs. So I've tried to be sort of symmetrical, but slightly not. I want to give it still a bit of a wild feel. Round the bottom of the tree, I'm about to plant some snowdrops, because in the UK, they're the first little flowers that come up in winter. So I'm going to plant some snowdrops so they all come up in January. This is jasmine. We put this arch in, and this is jasmine, which also smells incredible. I hadn't actually noticed it was still flowering, which is amazing. And I love this. It's called Aragon daisies, and I was told that they would spread like wildfire, and they have literally. They spread everywhere and reseed themselves, and they create these really wild mounds of flowers, which are so pretty, and they last for ages. This is called Perovskia, which is normally purple all over, but it's just dying back now. And I love it because it's grown really tall. But things you can't see now. So in May, alliums come up all around. In spring, tulips come up all the way around. They're one of the first things to come up. I planted sort of really dark, quite black tulips and pink tulips. There's lots of lavender. Oh, and there are irises dotted around as well, and they're amazing. They've really grown since we planted them. And this, I'm really glad that we left some spaces. When the builders came in to do the patio, I think it was really worth us pre-planning to build in some holes so that we could put these in, because I think they're really effective. I love the sort of the smooth feeling of these balls against the wild of the rest of the garden. And when the builders came as well, we told them to dig us some big holes to put roses in. So this is a David Austin rose. It's one of the first things to come out in the garden in springtime. This is another one, which has huge sort of flat roses. You can just see them dying back now, but they're flat and wide and absolutely beautiful, rather than the sort of the normal round, tighter cluster. And then this one isn't. This one isn't. This one isn't David Austin, but it's still very, very good. I read an article in the Times saying some of the best roses, and this one came up. Although this one doesn't smell very much, which is a shame. And then this one here is also David Austin, and it's a rambling rose, and it goes absolutely wild. It only flowers once a year, but when it does, it's covered in like little whitey pink pom-poms everywhere. We bought this a couple of years ago. It not particularly expensive, can't remember where. And these, the garden furniture came from, there was a teak sale literally down the road, and we sort of leapt on it and bought some things. And it came with this quite hideous looking sort of green lounger covers. And so I took them to seamstress I know with some fabric, and she recovered them. And this is kind of outdoor fabric, so it's, you can get it wet and things. Right, we're going back inside to take you back upstairs. So this is by a friend of mine, Gemma Powell, and she paints much more abstract style than I do, but I just love the colours she uses, really beautiful. And this is a sketch of mine of our daughter Willow. I'm going to take you into our bedroom now. So this is, this was in my recent exhibition in London called Flower Power, and we were in Ibiza in the summer, and we stayed in a house with the most beautiful garden that was full of limes and pines and bougainvillea and olive trees and Gora whirling butterflies, and I came home and decided to paint it. So this screen is part of that. I was debating whether to paint hollyhocks, but I thought it'd be a bit more exotic to paint an Ibiza garden. I've got like I think I've said before, I've got a thing about upholstering chairs. So this was an old chair, and I had it upholstered again in Famoy fabrics. Now these cupboards, when we first arrived, were very orange varnish, and we toyed with getting rid of them, and then we thought, actually no, I think we can paint them. So we just painted them, and we changed all the hardware, which was black. We changed it to brass, and I think it works really well. I think that is shaded white by Farrow & Ball. This chaise longue I bought in an auction in Banbury, which is sort of half an hour from here. And it's Victorian, and I think nobody wanted it because I put in an offer of like £30 and got it. And again, I've upholstered it in Famoy fabric. Bit of a running theme. This little rug actually has quite a lot of history. I did a trek in Jordan a few years ago. When we first came out of COVID, we went to Jordan and did a trek, and it was incredible. And I ended up trekking to a monastery, and basically I bought this right at the top of a mountain in a monastery, and I brought it down with me and brought it back with me. This fabric, again, is Rapture and Right. And this is another of my paintings. This is the lily, which stands for faith and hope. The bedside tables, again, I think they were a junk shop find. We've had them for many years, and we painted them. and I actually don't know what brand these lamps are, but a friend was working for a lady who was getting rid of them, and so I said, I'll have them. That's basically the story of that. When we first moved in here, there was a wall here, and my husband and I had a bit of a fight as to whether we should get rid of the wall, because I just thought it would open the whole room up. And I won in the end. And he now agrees that it was the right thing to do, because it has opened the whole room up and it was a bit closed off. And we've done exactly the same in the spare room, which is the other side of the staircase. This is my dressing table. I've had this for many years. I think I bought it from Graham and Green. I mean, many, many, many years ago. And because I've got a history of being a beauty and wellbeing editor, I am a bit of a beauty junkie. So I've got lots of products. And this mirror, when we lived in London, it came from a vintage shop. We lived quite near Richmond, and it came from a vintage shop near there, which I loved, and I used to go to all the time. And so we've had it literally for about, I don't know, 30 years, 25 years. This is another vintage chair that I had reupholstered, and we've got different coloured buttons. A couple of things I love at the moment is this. It's by a brand called Bioma. It's not particularly expensive, but it's a hydrating milky toner that you put on under your moisturiser. And my skin is very dry, so you can feel that it just takes the edge off having dry skin. And it feels like it makes your moisturiser even more effective. Another product I love, if I'm going out somewhere and want my skin to look great, is Charlotte Tilbury's Magic Cream. Always does wonders and somehow makes my skin look way better than it actually is. Makeup wise, some of my favourite products come from Gucci Westman. Westman Atelier is her brand. Gucci Westman is the makeup artist who started it, and her products are just incredible. I think they're some of my favourites. These are bronzing drops that you put, you can add to your moisturiser, or you can add as a highlight on your cheeks. Absolutely amazing. I also am a bit of a fragrance junkie. I love beautifully made fragrances. I do think that the art of fragrance making is totally underestimated. It's a bit like creating a work of art. It's like the equivalent of an orchestra working together in music. It's creating top notes, middle notes, bottom notes, and some of the most amazing fragrances are just mind-blowing. I personally, some of my favourite fragrances, this one is called Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle. Whenever I wear it, people say, oh my God, what are you wearing? I don't wear it all the time because it's quite powerful scent. But I wear it when I go out. I like to keep it for special occasions. And it's so incredible. It actually smells amazing on your clothes. So if you were to wear a coat and spray it, the coat will smell for weeks afterwards, faintly of it, and it's incredible. I also love Diptyque. And this is a brand in the UK called Fern, who have a very clever idea where they do limited edition fragrances throughout the year. So they do four with every season, so spring, summer, autumn, winter, and they're organic scents, and it's just a beautiful brand based in Somerset. So I'm going to take you into the bathroom now, which we haven't done up totally yet, but I want to show you the mural I've painted on the wall. So this is a wall of herbs, basically, and I wanted to bring the kind of the rustic vibe of herbs and the flower and vegetable patches outside. I wanted to bring it inside, and so I've painted lots of different types of herbs, from chives to parsley to coriander to chamomile, rosemary. As you can see, I haven't quite finished it yet, but It's a work in progress. Okay, so this is our spare bedroom, and it's actually though where my daughter normally sleeps, my 7-year-old, because her bedroom is quite far around the other side of the house and she gets scared coming through in the night, so she sleeps in here a lot of the time. And again, we haven't quite finished this room, but we put in like paneling here. We are actually going to finish the wallpaper and put it all around the room. But this wallpaper I love is from Rapture and Write. Again, I've used their fabrics throughout the house, but I love this. But I totally underestimated how much wallpaper you need and I thought I had enough to do the whole room and only had room to have enough to do one wall. So currently it's unfinished, but yeah, and I love the ochre yellow, and I love this blue against it. This again is an old piece of furniture of ours that we have, I've painted in, it's called Cerulean Blue by Edward Bulmer. Oh yeah, and then this little window here is where Barley comes and sits and watches out for any intruders or just watches the world go by. And this chest of drawers is my grandfather's old chest of drawers. So I feel very, very happy to have it in our house because he was a wonderful man. So this landing actually gets wonderful light at the end of the day. And sometimes I find my husband just sat up here on his laptop because the sun streams in, which is really lovely. And I found these beautiful Japanese prints. They're actually kimono designs in an antique shop in Woodstock, which is about half an hour away from here. This lamp is from Pookie, and the lampshade is by a designer called Penny Morrison. And this, I think, was a second-hand find. And again, these chairs are upholstered again in Fermoy fabric, and I had the cushions made as well, so I could get exactly what we wanted. The things I love the most about this home is I love the fact that it's slightly off the beaten track, that it's very, very buzzy in the Cotswolds, around places like Dalesford, around Great Chew, where Soho Farmhouse is, and we're about sort of half an hour away from there, and I like the fact that it's a bit removed and people don't really know this little pocket that well. So I love that. I love the fact that it's very rural. The countryside around here for walks is beautiful, with amazing sort of rolling hills and woods, and every time I go out I'm wowed by the beauty of the countryside. I love the lightness of this house. There's a lot of light streaming in different rooms, different times of the days. As I said, that's really important to me, being in a sort of light environment. And I love the courtyard. I love the fact that it's built in a sort of horseshoe shape around a courtyard. When we bought the place, the courtyard was, as I was saying, like a car park, and people used to park their cars there. But we have totally transformed it into a courtyard garden. And what we wanted is that in the summer, the kids could, say, run out of their door over their side of the courtyard and run across and get a breakfast and run back with bare feet, and it just to be a very sort of indoor-outdoor house. And that's exactly what we've created, and we're very proud of that. And in the summer, weirdly, we don't actually come into this room at all, hardly in the summer, because we spend nearly all of our time eating outside. In my opinion, what makes a house a home is somewhere where you feel just totally comfortable. I want a home to feel somewhere like a haven where I can just totally relax, kick off my shoes. I'm always walking around with no shoes on at home, and just feel that you can shut the rest of the world out and just come back to being a family here.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.